This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. Today, we're joined by Gala Magrina, an award-winning holistic interior designer and thought leader who's redefining how we think about our spaces. As the founder of Gala Magrina Design and host of Going Beyond Spaces, she blends design, wellness, and ancient practices like feng shui to create environments that support clarity, confidence, and overall well-being. Gala believes our spaces don't just reflect who we are, they actively shape who we become.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today, we are joined in studio by Gala Magrina, who is a fellow podcast host, but also interior designer who specializes in the holistic and wellness field. So we are so excited to have you in Florida.
Thank you.
As you come from New York.
Thank you.
And you're going to tell us and introduce to the iDesign Lab listeners, tell us about yourself.
Okay, thank you for having me. This is a great studio. Excited to be here. So not a traditional interior designer via design school at all. I actually went to school for film and television. So when I get to do things like this, it's like a full circle moment. I came in through fashion, being a window dresser. And
that's a fun job.
I know.
It's a great job.
I mean, I love
Great job. And it was when I was in college, like for film and TV.
Where was college?
So UCLA, and then I finished at NYU Film.
Okay.
Wow.
So in LA.
Yeah. And I needed to work while I was in college. And so I was a terrible salesperson. And then I saw somebody one day like decorating a display case. And I was like, what do you do? And he was like, I do visual merchandising. And I said, well, what's that? And he goes, I make the store look pretty. And I said, that I can do. And so I started.
Like a prop person in the movie business.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started doing windows
designer.
and stuff like that. And then typical, you start growing a career that you didn't ask to grow in. So my mind, I was doing all this freelance work on films and stuff like that. I wanted to be a director. I was working art department at the same time. And I just kept getting promoted in this Italian fashion company. And eventually I was US creative services manager.
Wow.
Designing stores, designing their events, designing their showrooms.
So it's really branding as well. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was there for 12 years. And then you reach a point where you're like, I've learned everything I can learn. And I was like, all right, let me go out on my own. And I opened up a design and production agency. And we actually did a little bit of everything. So event design, store design, window design.
Is this in Los Angeles?
Back in New York.
Back in New York.
Yeah.
In the city or?
In the city.
Okay.
And we had, clients everywhere because it was, marketing and events and everything. So I traveled a lot to Los Angeles. We did events everywhere. And then what happened was as life kind of guides you to where you need to be.
When you're open.
That's right. And in tune. We would do somebody's pop-up. And then they'd say, hey, our pop-up came out so good. Can you design what we look like if we were a retail store?
So when you say pop-up, a pop-up store, selling merchandise or retail?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, you did our fashion showroom. Can you do my apartment in Tribeca? Sure.
It really crossover like that.
That's it. And then it was doing a bunch of those compared to producing, let's just say, live events for Harper's Bazaar with this high stress.
Yeah.
And this sort of spiritual journey I went on where I learned meditation. I went to India. I started sort of practicing life in a more holistic fassion. And
Did you go to India for that reason or was it
for meditation?
Really? For meditation? What brought you or thought or made you go that way?
I've always been curious, a seeker kind of, and I was reading Buddhism books at like 18.
Unbelievable.
And you just get this itch for something. You feel like life isn't, there's more to life than how you're living it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I followed that. And I had always been curious about meditation, but it had never clicked for me.
Uh-huh.
And I found this mantra-based meditation.
Okay.
Which is, you close your eyes and they give you a mantra and you repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. And it kind of like tricks the brain
to
into
focus,
going to a
maybe?
place of no thought.
Wow.
And I sort of
To relax yourself?
Yeah.
Or?
Center.
I had this experience of no thought for the first time ever. And
That
then
has to be a pretty interesting
you
feeling.
really get in touch with like your true being in a sense
Right.
by
Right.
doing that. And so then I remember producing like one of our biggest events, like we projected onto the Empire State Building. There was helicopters, there was Kendall Jenner was right next to me. And I remember pulling off this feat and going to the back of house and being like, what am I doing with my life? This
Yeah.
is just not aligned anymore.
Oh, wow.
And doing these interiors and created spaces for people to live and work in is so much more fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And I started putting all our marketing dollars and really going after that. I worked with a coach in 2018 because running an event business and a creative agency is not the same as an interiors.
Totally. What
That's a big kind
big
of risk,
pivot.
making a change
Big
like that.
pivot.
And, I always say the universe whispers before it screams and before it drags you.
Right.
So it was whispering. I was paying attention.
Yeah.
The
you
money
knew it.
was so good doing some of these other things that I couldn't fully say no to it, right?
Right. And one has
And then-
to offset the other kind of thing,
Right.
probably.
Yeah. And then 2020 happened.
Right. COVID.
As it did it changed so many people's lives.
Isn't it crazy?
you
It really
know?
did. It was a good reset
Yeah.
almost for the world if you opened up to it that way.
Exactly.
It really was.
And I said, well, events aren't happening now. And that was like a big driver of
and everybody's
business.
home.
And everybody's home. So what are you going to do, Gala? So I
Yeah.
closed M Crown Productions and I officially launched Gala Magrina Design. And then that coincided with about 2018. I had gotten all these certifications in holistic design and feng shui, in certified in well. I did Parsons Healthy Materials. And then I began studying for Vastu, which is like an ancient Indian architecture sort of thing. And it all came full circle. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm doing, residential and commercial interior design, but with this sort of holistic wellness twist, because that's what I think I've always felt how much our spaces affect us. And I think
Right.
that
Totally.
we can leverage so many other things for them to support us in a much deeper way than they are.
So you're switching from events to basically residential
And
interior-
commercial.
and commercial
Yeah.
interior design. That alone is a big jump and risk and chance in doing so, and great
Yeah.
entrepreneurial
Yeah.
aspect. But I think about what and how you're doing it from an holistic approach and so forth. I got involved with Tiffany with her interior design, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, kind of COVID. was
COVID,
really
yeah.
Everybody
it
has
feels
a
like it
COVID
was
story.
It feels
Yeah.
like it was 3 or
I've
4
only
years ago,
watched
but
her
it's
for
like
years
thick.
and
Okay.
listening to her, getting clients, finding clients coming to her.
Mm,
But you're going after, or you're focused on a very unique
yes.
sort of base of clients.
Yes.
Are there that many people out there looking for those types of services or are understanding
So
those?
now
I was just,
it's coming. Now it's coming.
When you say
I was
now,
an
what do you
early
mean by
adopter.
now?
Well, so you're seeing a lot more. So let's just talk
Wellness
about
and-
wellness.
center, people, every podcast I listen to almost has some sort of comes back to wellness,
Wellness.
mental health, cleanse, like whether it be
Yes.
cleanse your home, cleanse your body, you're on a cleanse, like
Yeah.
they're all intertwined.
I
So it
think-
makes sense that it would come.
So, but you're
To
decorating
residential.
and designing people's homes and commercial properties with a sense of this isn't just about the place looking nice. It's about how it feels
Yes.
when you walk in and how when
That's
you
it.
sit in the room,
That's it.
which I think is fascinating.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd like for us to learn more about how do we sell, how do we present something like that
Sure.
to
It's
people,
true.
because we met we did a podcast a few weeks ago with someone that does similar.
Okay.
And afterwards, I went home and I said to Tiffany, our living room where our kids practice and have all their instruments, I said, I don't feel good about this room.
There you go.
And Tiffany said to me, what don't you like about the room? And I said, well, the first thing is that couch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that
I
either
said,
anymore.
The
But
couch feels too like I don't know, it's like wears on me. It's like too heavy. It's like too
Mhm.
big.
Mhm.
And I said, I think it affects me on how I feel about this room. Because
Sure.
when I walk into a
And
family
you walk
room,
through it every day.
yeah,
That's what I call energy drains.
Correct. They are.
right. And I
Unnoticed
started to
energy
realize,
drains.
and I said to her, how do we,
Such a
so
yeah.
tell us more about this. Like,
energy drains. That's I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where to begin? Let's see.
because and before you start, I just want to say that most everyone spends so much time in their home.
90%
Yeah.
of their time is indoors.
And I don't think people ever really think about it. But
No.
for every person listening to this podcast, when they go home tonight or they're in their house
Yeah.
and they stop listening, they should kind of
Reassess.
how they feel about,
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
and how does that process get recognized? Like,
Sure.
well, how do they get to you, and then where does your focus take the project?
Sure. So there's a couple things. So the first thing that I want to say is like, spaces have a tremendous impact on us,
Mhm.
right? The Global Wellness Institute has this quote that's actually got me started on this journey. So let's start with that. And that is that our studies show that our homes, communities, and environments directly affect our daily motivations, behaviors, and lifestyle.
Mhm.
And those in turn determine 80 to 90% of our health outcomes.
Well, if you think about history,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how everybody evolved, was through these little communities and communes, and everybody helped each other, and they
Yes.
grew things, and everybody had a role.
Yes.
And their role was facilitated and made
Gathering,
important. Yeah.
like absolutely. And so, great. Modernization happened. We now have buildings with HVAC and, all these wonderful things, but we lost an
So
aspect
much.
of it, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give just basic examples
Yeah.
that listeners can connect with.
Okay.
As a designer working with an architect, let's just say I'm designing an office space and it's a creative agency.
Mhm.
If I raise the ceilings
Mhm.
and do taller ceilings, that influences big picture and creative thinking.
Mm.
Right. I
Right?
agree
Yeah.
with you on that.
If I lower them, it's for very focused sort of task work
Oh,
precision.
so good. Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
One example.
Yeah.
Second example, color.
Mm-hmm.
If I do bright colors, reds, yellows, oranges, I am going to energize the room.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't want to do that in a dining room where there's alcohol and in-laws, right?
Yeah.
Or in a bedroom. Or what do we see the most? We see kids' rooms, kids that
Yeah.
have the most energy. I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And we fill them with bright colors and bright things. When calming colors and a calming palette actually soothes and brings the energy down. So the color that I paint a room can affect how people subtly feel in that room.
Mm.
I'll give you a third example.
Hmm.
Angles versus curves.
Yeah.
So
Big.
angles, right? We grew up when, like, if you go back to caveman times,
Yeah.
we grew up in nature and connected to nature, right?
Mhm.
Angles in nature represent danger. So think
So
of
true.
thorns
So
and
true.
cliffs,
Right.
right? It activates I think it's the amygdala, the fear center in our brain, and it's like, watch out, right? So subtle spikes in cortisol, probably,
Yeah.
that we're not even, tuned into.
Right.
Curves is associated with the feminine.
Yeah.
It's round,
Soft.
it's inviting, it's soft.
Yeah.
So even the shapes of the furniture that I use
Mm.
are subtly affecting how you feel. Now, I've just named 3 separate things.
Right.
Right.
And they're also intentional.
There's so many more. And when I combine them together, it's like interior design on steroids.
It really is. It's like totally a different perspective.
It takes into that intentionality to the nth degree. And to your point, now everybody's so focused on wellness and they're talking about
Totally.
sleep and diet and exercise. But in that conversation, they're not talking about
You're so right.
interiors
And
or
that's where-
architecture.
So are most of your clients who are coming to you have this philosophy? Or are they coming to you for
For the
interior design?
education of
Or
it.
are they coming for interior design and you're bringing them to another level of how to really enjoy their home
So
even
I would
more?
say when I first started, let's not count 2020, 2021,
Yeah.
it was a lot of educating and people just wanted cool, nice stuff.
Right.
Because we have a cool aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
I would say in the last 2 years, I'm seeking you out because I love the way you're talking about interior design and I want to know more. And I'm really connecting with, we have a methodology with 12 different points. Somebody might say, I have an autoimmune disease and I really love that you're into healthy materials. Or another person is like, I have anxiety and I love that you're designing, to sort of like help with that. So that's what I'm saying. We're beginning to see it. Like the wellness industry, I think, is one of the fastest growing industries right now.
It's
and
true.
Wellness real estate within all of the categories is one of the biggest growing.
Really?
So I feel like I'm an early adopter, but I'm like in a good place right now where as people are becoming more aware, we're well positioned in that market.
So some of the things that you just said about how a person, they may have anxiety or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you like being their shrink when you first met them?
Well, I feel like that's a little bit a part of the job too.
For any interior designer, right?
But to learn a little bit more about them and how you can help them.
That's a great question. So I tell clients that our design kickoff meeting is going to be part creative brainstorm session. So yes, I want to hear if you like wallpaper, what colors you like, the typical questions related to design. We establish the design direction. I have hero images. And then I'm like, this is a first date, but only I'm getting to know you well. And I'm going to ask you, I send a questionnaire ahead of time.
You do? Okay.
Because some people come to us, they know what they've signed up for, but I'm asking questions of like, did you feel safe in your childhood home? How did it,
impact,
do you suffer from anxiety?
Yeah.
What do you want more of in your life? What do you want the next 10 years to look like? I'm not asking typical
like what color
questions, you know what I mean? And so I really want to see things in them that they don't even see for themselves. So that then I can design in a way that's almost like a giant surprise for them and that helps elevate them in a sense,
right.
In one aspect of their life.
What everything you're saying just resonates so much with me. Do you ever have like difficulty delivering when it's like, can you fit it in this time frame and this type of
yes.
Like how does all that correlate in?
Absolutely. So budget, it's probably very similar to how you establish your budgets. Like
that's what vendors I use.
I'll be like, hey, what furniture do you have now?
What are we incorporating?
Exactly. And then I kind of roughly know the price per square footage and I know the amount, what the clay costs that I need to work with at this point because I've done enough projects. I think one aspect of what you said is really important, and that's the time. So we have a process and we need to abide by that process because that allows for discovery, reflection. I'm thinking about your project when I'm in the shower.
Right.
Some of my best ideas come after I meditate. I need time to do that.
Yeah, you do.
When you rush it, and so much about our modern society is about speed.
That's what I asked the question for because it's something that I feel like
you lose something.
Yeah.
And I understand that you may want to get in to throw your Christmas party.
Right.
But I'm doing a disservice to you if I say yes to that.
I know.
Because I'm going to go to the easiest selection and I'm not going to take the time to really sort of breathe you in and breathe the project and let it marinate and let things develop. Now, that said, I came from a live events background.
So
we are very process oriented and very efficient. And I always say the journey needs to be as beautiful for you as the final product. So I balance those two. But like if a client's like, I want, by this day, I say no to that. And I also learned by fire. So many times I've said yes because we needed the project. I needed to pay the bills. Like let's get real too.
How do you feel? Yeah. Like how
and
do you
it bit me in
that?
The butt. It bit me in the butt. So we don't do that anymore. And if I say to a client, you know what, I'm going to do you a disservice if I agree to your timeline, they usually get it. They usually understand it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I need to tackle that a little bit better.
It's hard.
It is hard.
When you have a team and you have bills to pay and you need the income.
Yep. Yeah. And the process does take time. And as you said, you're thinking of it when you're in the shower. You think of it when I'm like, I can't put an hourly time on this. No. This is an evolution. It's a growth. And
I'm taking you in on the weekends.
It's so true. Yeah. It is 100% true.
Yeah.
So we discussed like a little bit of the psychology and how things can be calm versus chaotic.
Yes.
Is that like one of the more important aspects
I
of
think,
the wellness?
yeah, it's well, because the world's crazy.
Yeah, totally.
It's moving at light fast speed.
Yeah.
I think most people
It's
probably
noisy, I say too. Like we're taking in
yes,
so like
much
there's-
stimuli.
Yeah.
And I think people are operating, before stress served us very well. Let's go back to caveman times, right? You saw a tiger, your cortisol levels spiked. It gave you the ability to focus, to maybe run faster, get away from the danger. But I feel like now a lot of us are in that constant state of stress and survival, right? And we've normalized that, and it's not normal. And so I do think that home now has to be many different things. And one of them is sanctuary, this place of refuge, not just shelter, but a place that can sort of hold you and reset you to get you back into the world better. I think a well-designed holistic home can do that. And
when you're saying well-designed and holistics, it's like I'm thinking too, like just when you're in your own home and like things need taking care of and tending to, I mean, those can be things that are annoying and put you on edge. Like how
1,000%.
So
that's
it's
like the chaos,
yes.
right? And like that crack on the wall that I see every morning when I walk in my door and I go, oh, I got to do something about that. And I start my day off thinking I'm less than because I have not
Yes.
tackled that in 3 months.
Exactly.
That's an energy drain.
Yeah.
At the most basic level,
Yeah.
let's talk about like everything sort of functioning and being repaired and everything like that, that can be an energy drain in and of itself.
Totally. And I feel like, we talked for a second when we first met coming in that I'm like, people don't realize what they get comfortable with. And you obviously,
Yes.
I tell my kids all the time, get comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's where the growth happens.
1,000%.
And, we do part of our job is to create beautiful spaces and pretty pictures, but there's a lot of uncomfortable moments to get to that beauty.
1,000%.
So
1,000%. And I think too, I want to go back to this point about how we get comfortable in our spaces. So one of the beautiful things about us as humans is that we adapt, right? We're built to sort of adapt. And I think a lot of the times if you're in a space that you're unhappy with, whether it's for economic reasons or because many people feel overwhelmed. I don't know how to paint. I don't know what to do. So let me just inherit, my family's furniture. And even though I hate it, at least I have something, right? And in Central Park or the horse carriages, how they put the blinders on the horses so they can't see.
right.
I feel like this starts to happen a lot when we walk into our office spaces or our homes day after day after day after day. And at the same time, the environment is still having an impact on us. And so I think if you can, go like this, one of the tips that I tell people is if you've been away from your office or your home, like on holiday or whatever, and you've been like a week out of it, when you walk back into the space, I want you to look around and be like, how do I feel in here? Does anything bother me? What would I change if I had all the money in the world?
Yeah.
And that can give you a pretty good clue, like if that space is a reflection of you, if it's supporting you or if it's draining you. Easy.
Don't you think everybody has something to complain about their space for?
I don't think so. I think if it's been two things. I think one, if you're visually and creatively inclined and you're able to put a room together. I have friends that aren't designers per se, but they can put a room together nicely and it feels harmonious to them and they're in touch with themselves. So they're choosing things that spark joy, that it doesn't have to be so intellectual. Like what sparks joy for you,
Yeah.
And then, yes, it kind of has to go to the same party or design style or it can look kind of crazy, but like very simple things of, what sparks joy. And then we know that bringing like plants in
Right,
and
that's a big
biophilic
thing.
elements boosts your mood and lowers your cortisol. We know that natural light boosts mood. So say a home of a non-designer that has those 3 elements, that's already going to feel good. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, to your point, that's probably a minor percentage of the population, because I think the majority get overwhelmed. They want a beautiful space. They want a space that supports them, but they're like, oh my God, I love all these things, but when they put them together, they don't look good.
Well, I say that all the time.
You know what I mean?
You can love a lot of things, but it doesn't mean they're all going to work together.
And I think that's really where people get stuck and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you work with like a new client and you go to their house for the first or second time?
Yes.
And you realize, okay, there's a number of things that people want to keep, but you realize that
It doesn't work.
yeah, or it's probably draining. It's probably,
Yeah.
how do you?
So I tread lightly because I want to honor, they might have sentimental value or, whatever. I tread lightly. There's some designers that are a quick hard hand, and there's some that are just a soft guide. I'm definitely a soft guide because I acknowledge that people are emotionally attached to their spaces. And when we get into them, even though they've hired and they've paid us, there can still be some barriers that go up. I'm sure you felt that before.
Oh, for sure.
And so I tread lightly and I just invite. I say, what helps me a lot actually is choosing what I call hero images for a project.
Mm-hmm.
So me and the client walk out of that first meeting with 5 to 10 images that's going to guide the design. So anytime they deviate from that, for instance, if they want to keep these 2 armchairs because they love them,
has to offset somewhere.
I'll show them, hey, this is where we're going, and does that look like this goes to this?
Right.
And they answer their own question. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's say goodbye. Let's say thank you. Let's say goodbye. Let's donate it, because I'm all about sustainability and that saying that one person's garbage might be another person's treasure.
Yeah.
Let's thank it. Let's send it along, and let's get something that supports the version of you that is here right now and where you want to go in the next 5 to 10 years, because the space has to evolve with the person too.
Well, if you think about it, like when I was mentioning a few weeks ago when we went home and I didn't like the couch and whatnot. And I said to Tiffany, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that if we put it in a box and put it in the garage or put it down the curb, I wouldn't even care. And it would probably make me happier because it'd be maybe less, I don't know if it's less cluttered or just feel
less cluttered probably.
Or feel like there's more room. Like I can breathe. Like the air is better.
It's how simple is that?
I know.
Though?
Yeah,
I know.
How simple, and it's because you had those blinders on. You had that conversation. You walked in with the blinders off, and you were really able to, in that second, tune in to like, okay, how is this really making me feel?
Yeah.
So these feelings and the emotions to deal with interior design, how do you interject them in a design intent aesthetic? Like, there was a time, I'm using this like, especially in South Florida.
Yeah.
In like the late 90s, everything was like over the top Mediterranean, super dark colors, lots of gold and fake stone. It was kind of like over the top. And we're like trying to, like, I always say, I'm trying to like declutter, degloop, everything. And then there was also another time where, like, I don't know, sometime in the early 2000s that some of these architects just started putting angles in the craziest places, and these bedrooms have like 9 angles. I said, I feel like all I'm doing is cleaning things up, just squaring things up again.
Yep.
And then again, now we're in this, my kids call them microwave houses, where they're just boxes, all white walls, super clean, which there's an appreciation for, but I also feel it's very sterile. There's not a lot of life there,
Yeah.
and
Cold.
Windows in very stark angle. Like, it's so, how can we, or what's the process of translating all that into such, architectural digest worthy homes?
Or where you can breathe, where you feel.
I think, for me, like, I think we have to look at how we've defined luxury interior design in the past. Like, when I think of luxury interior design, I think of massive homes, lots of ornate details, sort of materiality for the sake of almost showing off.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Art,
Like,
I think artistic.
yeah.
Very curated.
Yes. Like,
museum. Like,
right. And yes, but I think if we evolve from there, let me just walk you through, let's put it into like really simple terms of like what luxury feels like to me and what that could look like. I think a home that is not too big and not too small, where every single room is being used. Because I've worked with clients that have these massive homes and you walk by these rooms that nobody's been in for a year and you can feel the energy in there is off.
Yeah.
That's an energy drain in your home. I don't care if it's a $20 million home, that's an energy drain in your home.
Yeah.
Right? And a resource drain if you think about it. So I think a home that's not too big and not too small. I think a home that reflects who you are and not necessarily that you're trying to show off for whoever comes over. I think there's a lot of that in luxury interior design. And so then it's not a reflection of self. You're doing it for somebody else, if you think about it. 3, access lots of natural light. I would probably throw in some Hunter Douglas blinds that are automated so that every window, like it goes up and you get, if you're in a home with a lot of windows, a lot of the times you can't get to opening the blinds. So it ends up being dark all day.
So electric.
So waking up to those automated blinds, I would put in a circadian lighting system that's changing color temperature with the sun throughout the day so that my circadian rhythms, I'm perfectly in tune with the sun and it's talking to my body in the way
so
that the sun
explain that
is.
a little bit more.
So the
It's
sun
changing like the Kelvin?
Yes. So what happens, like when we draw the sun as little kids, we draw it as this like yellow thing.
Right.
But actually, as the sun rises, it has a hue. And it is color temperature. So it's more of like a pinkish orangish.
Right.
And then around 10 a.m., it's like this bluish light.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, it goes down.
Never thought of that.
So the yellowish pinkish in the morning and at the end of the day is connected, sort of tells our body and our hormones and our circadian system to sort of get sleepy, calm down. And then when it goes to blue light at around 10 a.m. until like 3 p.m., that's our active, productive state. And that blue light sort of wakes you up until it comes back down again.
So it goes to like a bright.
It's a blue. It's a blue. It's like when you use, I think, like 4,000 or 5,000, you do that like in a laundry room because you want to be,
Yep.
So the sun is doing that throughout the day, and that is we take that in, and it's signaling to our bodies, right? So if I'm indoors, if I could have a circadian lighting system,
that's luxury.
That's luxury to me, right? Because it's a health thing, as is the natural light. Then I'm going to put in the best air, right? Because we also know good oxygen can also
what do you consider
wake
like
you
the
or
best
bring you
air?
down. I am not an engineer, but like an HVAC system that is either new or been cleaned after construction. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Or like a UV
filters
system
and exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, like
okay.
sort of top of the line. Very boring stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
we have a house right now that the client wants that in all of their AC units.
Yeah.
And we're putting that in. And
Yeah. And then I'm going to probably do some furniture if I'm going to think about what rooms I want to be active in and what rooms I want to be calming in. And I'm going to design for that. So I'll probably do some sharper angles, some brighter colors, and maybe a gym or a work from home space. But I'm going to make sure that my bedroom, things are rounded. There's a lot of textures. The beauty of this circadian lighting system from Lutron is that at the end of the day, it starts bringing the lights down like to a dimming thing to sort of like make you sleepy in the evening. And it kind of puts you into like a good sleep mode. So it's affecting your sleep, right?
That's taking lighting to a whole nother
Oh
level.
yeah. It's a bit we
like
could
in our
we
house,
could do that.
we use Lutron, but we have settings.
Yes.
So when
So
we have,
similar.
when we have guests and
But
friends
we
and
don't
stuff.
do it on a daily basis.
Well, not on a daily,
Right.
but when
Yeah.
we have friends or we entertain or people coming over, we got a
Bring it
setting
down.
in the house and
Yeah.
it changes the light in all of the rooms.
And it's a
different temp-
mood and it's a vibe,
It is.
right?
Correct. And then we
Like
put a movie on or
just
watch
through
some
the
TV. We
lighting.
hit the
yes.
And I am a big lighting person, but I've never like broken it down.
And
in
that's
my
what
mind that way.
No, we're very much into the lighting.
And what you're creating too there is variable lighting, which we talk a lot about in interior design. And if you think about it, that's replicating nature. Nature does not have overhead recessed lights with the same color temperature that doesn't change throughout the day. Like you walk outside, there's light being filtered through a tree. The sun is going in and out of the clouds. Like, you know what I mean? So you're recreating that in the home. And a lot of what I'm talking about is you're really kind of like indoors, but you're kind of recreating what nature does naturally. Yeah. And that's like what I talk about, like this disconnection.
How you say all this,
you know?
I mean, we just Saturday, we had people over for dinner, a barbecue in the backyard. How our pool, turn the light on the pool because it's LED. We can all different colors.
Yeah.
But depending on what we're doing, we had a nice dinner party. So I put on like an aqua blue, like.
Yes.
But if we're like, pool party or something, I'm putting on like a
red or a yellow. Right. Yeah.
And I put the colors on based on what's going on.
Instinctivly. That's the thing. This is all inside of us.
It is, yeah. Somebody's just breaking it down.
I'm just breaking it down and almost like,
it's
a remembering of going back
and it
to things that are natural
and the
to us.
Feeling and
totally.
Yeah.
So I know you have your podcast, Going Beyond Spaces. Is it driven towards kind of teaching these practices and giving people tools to implement them?
Yes, it's that. It's breaking down like the 12 different steps in my methodology, but it's also having guests on to, like talk about classical feng shui versus modern feng shui.
I have another feng shui question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Wait. But what do you mean by classical?
That's what I mean. Like it's not a one size fits all.
No. And
what's the difference?
So the thing is with these ancient practices like feng shui and Vastu, if you're practicing them in the true traditional form, I think it's impossible to do that because it happened so long ago that every time you pass on knowledge, it gets diluted.
It's like the game that you teach the kindergartners, telephone. Right. Like, I know.
So I like to start there because some people like ride or die by feng shui. And I'm like, well, let's really talk about the fact that like, what have you learned and what have you received of a knowledge that happened 6,000 years ago first, so I'm a bit of a purist. Secondly, I do think though that one way to look at it is some of the best aspects of these ancient practices do survive and sort of get passed on and everything. So if you look at some of these classical practices, feng shui and Vastu, which predates feng shui, it's very much connected to sort of the land, what's around it, the energy of the land, what directions we're facing.
Yeah, that was so important back
the measurements of things.
So true.
And the qualities they bring in.
You're bringing up the land and stuff. I just have to say that there's a new television series it's on. It's called The Madison.
Okay.
You should watch it.
Okay.
It's a Taylor Sheridan
like
show.
it.
We've been like addicted to it.
Okay.
Kurt Russell and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay. And what is it?
So magnificently shot and done, but it's all about
connection.
The connection of us and where we are. And Kurt Russell played. They're a wealthy couple in New York,
Manhattan.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
but
fabulous design.
But his life is about Montana.
And
the energy that when he goes,
he had like a ranch that he built with his brother, and he would go like twice a year for 2 weeks
to hang out with his brother.
Okay,
and she never went, and then he died. Well, I don't know if ruined it, but
and then she goes and starts to experience.
And she realizes.
I have like goosebumps talking about it.
That's what this is all about.
And it's just it's so well done.
Yeah.
But everything you're saying, anyone who you go watch that series, you're going to feel like, oh my God, how important it is.
Yes.
Where we are, what we breathe, and what we're seeing.
Yes. What we're touching. We didn't even get into healthy materials as the truest luxury in a healthy home.
It's true. It is true. And that series is a great kind of a segue because we do so much for wellness and what we take, what we eat. It's so mind blowing. That we're just starting to tackle the home, because you have people who are like, oh, that sofa is like $12,000, but it's like they'll go buy a handbag or a pair of shoes, that's in the tens of thousands. So so mind-blowing to me that something, it's almost like we're left to re-educate or to,
That's our job.
yeah.
And going back, we were talking a little bit about like interior design school and all of that. Like a lot of this isn't even being taught there.
No.
And that's what's so mind-blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you think approaching interior design in this way elevates what we do so much more?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So why isn't everybody looking at it and being trained this way and educated this way in it?
I feel it's like almost like I said earlier, we're trying to figure out how do we bring this into our business?
Yes, yeah.
Because it's so important. You're designing people's homes and how happy they are, but
Yeah.
putting more emphasis into, the holistic
And how it feels. Yeah. Versus just how it looks. That's
Yeah.
the surface. That's important. There's
Well-
something called neuroaesthetics. We know that beauty and
And
art.
we want to live in beautifully curated
Exactly.
spaces. Like something is more intentional.
Yes.
And like you just said too, the luxury. I mean, the show happens to have one of the most magnificent apartments that's like,
Okay.
highlighted there
Okay.
in Manhattan.
in Manhattan. So it's very well appointed and detailed and textures and stuff like that. But I feel like we need to be putting that on the forefront of luxury,
Yes.
but it has to have purpose.
It has to have, this intention. That's what I'm saying. You can be intentional and it can still be beautiful.
Yeah.
You can still spend, million on a piece of art. If that art sparks joy or it reminds you of something or, and you
Right.
put it in your foyer where you're going to see it every day and it does
Triggers, yeah.
fantastic. You've just elevated that. It's
Yeah.
not only beautiful, but it's serving a purpose. It's going to make you better or, help you feel more positive, whatever it may
Right.
be.
Versus putting it just where it might look good.
Whatever, or buying it
Yeah.
because your collector said, well, this artist is going to be famous in 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, worse than that, which I see is clients that say to Tiffany, and I just pick me out 5 or 6 pieces you think that will look great in the house.
Right.
And I say I hear that, and I
Yeah.
say to her like later that evening or whatever, like I don't understand that person. That you're picking up 5 or 6 pieces of art for them.
Yeah.
They don't really care.
What?
This is hanging in their house.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it every day for
Yeah.
probably as long
Yes.
as they live in this house.
Yeah.
And for me, I look at everything as in our house. There's a meaning behind everything.
100%.
Like we bought that piece because of
Yes.
this reason.
Yeah.
You
Or we
know,
were on vacation and it reminds me of when we were all
Right.
together. Or,
Even if
you
it's
know?
a street vendor,
Yes,
just
yes.
something so
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 there's this-
special.
That can have more value than a Picasso,
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's your version of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we touched a little bit on the feng shui, and I'm not familiar with Vastu.
Okay.
So, and you say that's predates
Yes. So,
feng shui. Is it
yeah.
a different area?
so it's India
Okay.
and
And feng shui is China.
China,
Okay.
exactly. I didn't finish the modern versus classical feng shui, but that was really just about how things have dropped off and now it's practiced like in a more modern way that really in a lot of ways has nothing to do how it traditionally was, with compass, with directions and all of that. And so I always like to say when I say, oh, I'm certified in feng shui, I like to clarify that it's modern feng shui,
Right.
and to honor that I'm not practicing it classically. And unfortunately, I only had this realization after the fact. And so could I go back and do I have the time to go back? I will go back and study the more classical form. And Vastu is what made me realize that.
Huh.
where
So-
do you learn? Where do you le-
There's
colleges or-
there's teachers online, online live courses.
Mhm.
There's teachers in New York, all over the place. If for your show notes, I can put recommendations of where all these certifications are, if that's helpful for you, and
Very
people can
cool.
find it. But to answer your question,
Mhm.
Vastu was really a practice. This is really cool. It's kind of out there, so let's go on a journey. To create temples in India. And the idea was
Structural temples or
like temples,
mind and body temples?
temples to go and
Worship.
Okay.
worship at, right? And the idea was if you chose the proper land, if it was oriented in the proper direction,
Mhm.
if it had these special measurements,
Mhm.
Hayati measurements, if certain functions. Well, that's when it transferred to home. So it started with temples, but now I'm going to move to, then they started realizing, okay, we can build homes like this. It started with their concept of how the physical world came to be. So how energy turned into matter. Some people will call it the big boom. Some people, that are religious will say that the world came about in a different way. But essentially, the moment that energy turns into matter and organisms start to build, and then the world starts to build and all of that. So essentially, it's taking that process and building a home in a very similar manner.
Wow.
And the idea is that then when you're inside of this temple or these walls and you've enclosed energy in a certain intentional way, it resonates with the divine, and therefore you benefit from that because you're inside a structure that's doing that. So that's Vastu. And I think to practice it in a true way, I don't know if that can be done in modern society.
Well, and I was just going to ask that too, because I feel like through history, you do, like in architecture, you do realize people, well, if they're in, line with a lot of these philosophies, they did create cities with those intentions. They created, throughout history.
Totally.
We definitely have lost that in our more mass consumption world.
1,000%. And when you think of, developers putting 30 condos up on this strip next to the highway, it's the last thing.
Yeah, they're not
It's cheap land, it's cheap materials, it's how fast can I get this up. That housing is going to have a different feel and vibration than something that's been
sicker
thoughtfully.
Society, honestly.
Do you know?
And a lot.
We know someone who built a house with all that thought and like the whole thing, huge home created on the ocean.
Yeah.
That was every aspect of it was built about
with ancient practices.
Oh yeah, it was actually he brought 200 Balinesian craftsmen.
Wow.
When the house was hand carved, it was made with no nails, no screws. It was all tongue and groove.
Hawaii.
Have you been in the home?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did it feel?
Very.
It
was a little over
the top.
The top.
Yeah.
Like the house had, I forget how many, it was like 6 million hand carved shingles out of like this wood, and the shingles were like this big.
Okay.
But it was all tongue and groove, the entire house. The bedrooms had what were they called?
Those day beds.
They were like
the Maharaja.
Oh yes,
like a bed inside of the room.
So it was a little over the top.
Opium dens type of thing.
Yeah.
You got inside and you closed the doors in the bed. And,
I think, one of the other things I talk about a lot, and sort of like one of the tenets in my methodology, is this less is more.
Yeah.
So go back to what you just said about choosing a piece of art from a street vendor, but maybe it was on vacation with your family.
Yeah.
For me, like all of that ornateness and everything, I can revel in it. I like to look at it and appreciate it. But that's not, to me, what holds me and supports me in my home, And so for me, less is more is being really intentional about the things that are important to you. So for me, it would be like that natural lighting, soft textures, round curves, a lot of plants, and art that sparks joy and that has memories to me.
Certain colors.
And so it's not this sort of, I don't know, maybe you would say it's extravagant, but to me, they feel very simple, but meaningful, intentional things. For me, that's what makes me feel rich.
I love that.
And it's less is more.
Yeah.
But it's good, the yummy things, what I really love.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
And maybe this person really loved Balinese wood structures, and that's what sparked joy for them,
Which is true. And I'm sure it did at that time and during that process.
There were a lot of unique
things. And I wish even in the experience of going to the house, thought of how it made me feel, honestly.
Yeah.
Even just approaching these projects with a feeling versus such a design.
Yeah. It's such a simple question that people can just start asking themselves. How does this office make me feel? How does this home make me feel?
Yeah.
How does my mother-in-law's home make me feel?
Yeah.
I don't hear clients ever ask these questions.
No, but to her point, it's our job as designers to educate.
Yeah.
So much of the
Yeah.
conversation too, even around sustainability and healthy materials, is like it's our job to know this. Like if it's hard for us to wrap our heads around it, imagine our clients.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
when-
really have
when
to
you don't
educate
even-
and be the guides if we want to change this industry and sort of elevate what we're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
with purpose and
Yeah.
intention besides just the pretty.
Exactly.
You know? And I've had a few conversations in the last few weeks that I feel like with possible clients that I've realized the shift coming through these conversations.
Nice.
So I really appreciate that
Nice,
you have
yeah.
this opportunity to talk to us and our audience and share these
you.
principles. So so you practice them mainly in your own business.
Yes.
And then you also share online.
Yes.
And through your podcast.
Yeah.
So where can people hear your podcast?
Thank you. Yes, it's Going Beyond Spaces with Gala. Season 3 will come out this year.
Oh, that's so cool.
I just do it like an audio documentary because it
Okay.
was too much pressure to do it like once a month.
Okay.
And so it's like 5 or 6 episodes. They get dropped at once. I
So
have
you can
really,
binge listen.
You can binge listen. And then kind of how your podcast is, by calling it Going Beyond Spaces, I can kind of like expand what I talk about. So
Yes.
one of my best friends is like a holistic coach, and I had her on to talk about ways in which interior designers might trigger their clients without knowing it.
Ooh, I like that.
So it helps designers kind of go deeper in how they work and how they live. And she came up with like 6 different ways. And it's just mind-blowing to me. So it's also trying to help interior designers kind of slow down and go a little deeper. Because I think when you can slow down and go deeper in yourself, then you can also practice in this way. Because it requires a little more thought and intention and slowing down. And the faster we go, the more disconnected we are.
Well, and it is a business of details.
It is.
And those
Yes.
the devil's in those details.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
it's so finite.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
what we get.
Do you go to High Point
I do.
to market?
Yes.
Have you ever thought of looking into being like a keynote speaker or talking about the subject matter for?
I have.
I think it would be.
Can you talk to them? Because I had a meeting with the person that books the
I think it
keynote
would be like
speakers.
a really
And-
interesting.
He said to me, well, typically it's a celebrity that does that. And I said, okay. But this year there's somebody, I think this guy's name is Mike from Science and Design, is actually going to talk and have a big talk there. So I'm hoping that's going to lead the way because I do a lot of public speaking.
Uh-huh.
You do a lot of brand, not necessarily, I don't know for sure, but if I'm saying this right, collaborating's huge. But I know
Yes.
like you go to a lot of events regarding,
Yes.
you know, the industry itself.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
You're very involved.
And I've done public talks for business
Do
of
other
home.
vendors, like companies, ever like even think of doing like Hunter Douglas, for example, or
Mhm.
Benjamin Moore? I mean,
Yes.
adding this philosophy.
I've done talks with Benjamin Moore. I've done talks for like a lot of brands and stuff like that. And everybody's very into it. And afterwards, interior designers come up to me and be like, it's like I turned a switch on that was
Correct,
already there. Like, oh my
absolutely.
God,
They-
like I
they
love
would be
this.
A great one,
Like,
Benjamin Moore or Sherwin Williams.
Yeah.
To
yeah.
from a color standpoint, of
Yes.
talking about colors and
Because
how
even
color
lately, I've been using a lot of Faro and ball paint,
Mhm.
which are like they definitely the colors have this less intensity. I can't explain
Yes.
it, and there is a level of just calm
That brings
even though it's a bright color,
even with
it's just the way it's truly
the pigment or
the
whatever,
intensity.
yeah.
I'm like, who knew?
Yeah.
Like,
I've recently gotten into Portola paints,
Yep,
the Roman clay finish.
I have all their
And that's a vibe
samples,
too.
yeah.
Like I'm like bedroom, meditation room, like everything in Roman
Yeah.
clay. But yeah,
are there names fit what you're
Portola
saying?
paints is
we have
that's
their-
the brand.
We have their
Port-
But do
stuff
the
here.
names resonate with
He's thinking the name of the color, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if I don't think so. No. Also, paint colors. I feel like somebody just like smoked weed and like started
named a
like
million things.
they're so funny. I could
It's
do like
so
a whole
funny.
meme about
we
it.
could. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's so funny. Because I have people who'll be like, well, I like the name of that, so we'll paint it that color.
Right.
I'm like, no, that's not.
But also,
how it
it's the most bizarre names ever. And then the other thing I personally love Benjamin more because of all their colors, but I love that they have a low
Tiffany does
VOC paint and Echo Spec and Regal. But there's this other brand. They don't have that many colors or finishes, but it is the healthiest paint on the market. It does it like ends up purifying the air.
Whoa.
And it's called Alchemist, and that's ALKEMIS. So check them out.
That's
Really for it's the only paint on the market that they can say no VOC, which is
So you
because it's like anything in every industry, like even now, like the makeup, everybody's wanting the purest.
pure, exactly.
You know, everything's
Yes.
like now we're going to let's
Yes.
dilute it all back
Yes.
to.
So you just mentioned air, which is something we really haven't spoken about.
Mhm.
So going into a home or going into a business, and Tiffany's into this, how the air feels and smells.
Yes.
How important is that? And
It's up there with light, absolutely, and it's boring, but it's
What
up
do you
there.
think of all those companies doing those air conditioning like attachment systems that put the smell into the home?
So
and-
that would be considered a toxin.
right.
That would be a toxin.
Yep.
considered a
Toxin.
toxin.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Good or
it's a
bad?
scent. Bad. It's
Yeah,
a
that's what I
scent.
would think.
You know? It's a scent. So if I had an air monitor and I was monitoring that air, you would probably see spikes in probably I imagine VOCs, right?
So from a feng shui or
Holistic
perspective.
it's really not a
No,
great.
no.
See,
And is there a way to do something like that in a holistic way?
So like if you're in,
Because I have a client who won't even burn candles.
and they're technically right.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because that's creating CO.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
CO2 when you
That
burn
we
a candle.
breathe.
Yeah, that we breathe
Yeah.
in.
yeah.
Natural flowers.
Right.
Right. Everything just go
Yep.
back to nature. Eucalyptus branches.
love
Eucalyptus at the
eucalyptus,
bottom
yeah.
of your shower.
Yeah, we've done that.
You just
for
have to.
projects
It's
too.
really simple.
Yeah.
You know, but we are so disconnected that it's like eating healthy.
Right.
Eating healthy, if you break it
It's
down, is really
easy.
simple.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
hard to
So
do
there's
to
really-
schedule
so
the
the-
time to
yeah.
go to the farmer's market and get the ingredients.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Because
Grab
we
an apple
move in
and
a
go.
quick world.
So true.
It's slowing down is such a
Yeah.
big part of it. Yeah, to doing life better.
Right. And this
You
is
know?
just another aspect to doing life better.
Yes,
is
exactly.
doing it in your
So
life.
what advice would
for
you
home.
give to a person that's about to start interior decorating,
Okay.
but before they start, how to think about their house or what they can do right now to their house to get
make. So I think the first would be that simple assessment, like go away, come back, take the blinders off, ask yourself, how does it feel? What do I like? What do I not?
Let's do it today.
No. Well, if you think of it, we were away. We went away a couple of weeks ago. We were gone for 2 weeks to London. We came back to the office here.
Yeah.
The office, and I said to her, "This place is a crap house."
There you go.
I
You
said-
didn't say that coming in today.
Well, because it's a behind the scenes. It's
Well,
a
they had-
working
Yeah, it's a
studio.
work
They
yeah.
had a
space.
couple of
He
vendors
doesn't
come in, and they were
realize.
cleaning out all the different,
Yeah.
the library and the fabric books and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and it wasn't. I like everything pulled forward and pristine
Of
and
course.
looking nice and neat.
I
and-
understand that.
And the carpet things off. It's like today. It's kind of like I come in and like I don't feel like. It's
Like
messy.
settled. Well, so I think, that test, I would say the biggest culprit that people deal with and that bogs them down would probably be clutter, to your
Clutter, yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to tackle that is to start small, like a closet or a
Mhm.
small room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people knowing that clutter is not only physical belongings, but it's tied to it emotionally can sort of
It
hold you
does.
down.
It
And it can
does.
take up space where new opportunities
Creates
can
stress.
arrive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, they even have studies
Service
like
or
working in
whatever
a
they
cluttered
call it.
environment, what it does to your brain.
Yeah.
So I think if people can connect, okay, if I take an afternoon, instead of going to the beach, I'm going to clear out this closet, which sounds really boring, but it has all of these benefits.
Yep.
And I'm not going to stop until I finish this one project.
Yeah.
Because people get overwhelmed and then they like do a little here and a little there, a little there. And then they look back and you don't see a change. But if you can finish one closet, the beauty of it is as you're working, your mind is focused. So you stop thinking about your problems. So that's like one benefit.
Yeah.
The second one, you're like actualizing a space so it better supports you. You're getting rid of things.
Using positive.
Exactly. And creating space for
emotions.
new things to come into your life. And then third, when you're finished, you get to look at it and you go, I
There's
did
such a
that
pride.
today.
I say the
you
same
know,
thing.
like
I know.
that's
It
it.
is. It's
Like,
true.
No,
that's
clutter.
where people can start.
Yeah. Clutter is
Easy.
the biggest. I always had a philosophy in business when my production company, touch a piece of paper once and don't touch it again. So you get
There
that
you
paper,
go.
whatever it is, do
File
it,
it,
and
throw it
it. No,
away.
get rid of it.
And I
Whatever
think,
it needs to be done, get it done. Because I would go around people's offices, and if they have same piles of crap or
you know
was
they
there,
haven't gotten
I
anything
would come
done,
in,
right?
I would come in with a garbage
There's
pail,
no list.
and I would
Those
just
lists become more lists on top of
right.
lists.
Yeah.
And you didn't do it for a reason,
Yeah.
or else it would have been like crossed off. And I think this also goes back to like less is more. You know, we're in a society that consumes a lot. There's a lot of
know.
consumption. When you're feeling down, it's very easy to go out and go shopping. We've all done that before.
Yeah. Little retail
But then those
therapy.
things just end up, taking up space or, like weighing us down. And so truly, I think another aspect of luxury is living with less, but like really
Mhm.
intentional. And that's a hard thing to do. Even like I that know so much about this, even I'm trying to do that. Like on a
Right.
bad day,
It's-
like not go shopping,
Right,
to like
right.
get an
rid of
instant
something
boost
instead.
mood.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard when society is showing you a different picture,
right.
That we're fighting against.
So you're based in New York, your business.
Based in
do
New
you do
York.
business outside of New York? Do you
Yeah.
travel around the
That
country or where
event
clients?
that event background essentially allowed us to like operate anywhere.
Amazing.
Right now, the majority of our clients are in the tri-state area,
Mhm.
but I would love to do a project in Miami or Florida or a
Right.
wellness
So for
center
someone
somewhere.
who was looking to reach out to you after hearing about you and hearing you, how it's the best way for someone
So
to
our
reach out to you?
website, galamagrinadesign.com, on Instagram at Gala Magrina Design. And if you want to listen a little bit more on my podcast, it's Going Beyond Spaces with Gala.
Well, thank you.
You're
so
welcome.
much. What a fun conversation today.
Yes.
This
Thank
has
you
been
guys.
so interesting.
You guys had some great questions, and I appreciate
I
it.
could keep going and pick your
Yeah,
brain.
yeah.
But thanks for being here.
You're
Thank
welcome. Thank you for
you.
having me.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.